now. Good morning, Joanna.
Hello, Michael. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
No problem at all. Joanna, I must confess I had to go through a crash course on the original Children of Lear story last night ahead of this one. Can you maybe recap for listeners kind of the essence of the story?
Sure, yes. So the traditional story is, just in a couple of sentences, there's a man called Lear, and he has 4 children, Fanula, Con and Fiacra. He's married to Eve, who is the mother of the children, but the mother died giving birth to the 2 youngest, who are twins. Lear remarries Eve's sister, Aoife, but then Aoife is jealous because Lear loves the children more than he loves her. So what she does is, through her magic, she curses the 4 children into swans, and they are cursed to be kind of stuck, I suppose is the best word I can use right now, to be stuck on the lake for 900 years. So that's the general kind of story. The traditional story has a Christian ending, which is something that I kind of...
Right, so yeah, you might explain to us how your project differentiates.
Sure, yeah. So I have a subtitle on my book. So my book is called Children of Lear, The Journey Through the Curse. So I take the notion of the curse. So mythology is something that really, over the last few years, it's really, really interested me to study the symbols and the metaphors behind myth, because myth isn't necessarily to be taken as face value. It is a metaphor for how we are today, and it's the beautiful thing about myths is that they're always relevant. No matter what era, they can be interpreted to any era. So I take the notion of the curse and I kind of ask the question, so what does this curse mean? And are we going through a curse right now? And so I have kind of 2 versions of the curse that I kind of are the main themes within my story. So one theme is the curse of the land. We have become so disconnected from Mother Earth, from nature.
And seems quite apt this year of all years, I would say. I think the pandemic has forced us to reflect on our connection with nature to a huge extent, would you say?
Absolutely it has. And the other curse, which is kind of one of the main themes in my story, which is a big thing right now, is mental health. And so my story is the journey through the curse. So it's so there are 6 characters in my story. So Aoife, Lear, and then the 4 children. So and it's in 3 separate parts. So the first part is told by the character A, who is the eldest son, and his story is told entirely separately from the other characters. And what he does, he takes the theme of Mother Earth and Mother Nature and society and how corrupt everything is. Then we go on to the next section, which is Aoife, Fanula, and Lear, and their stories are intertwined. And what they do is they bring us into the depth and the darkness of the mind, of human emotion, and they go right down to the very bottom, all through symbolic and metaphorical writing, taking the symbols from the story, water equals depression, the feather, the swan, loss of identity, all that sort of stuff, and they go right down to the very bottom. But then something happens, a moment of a saving moment. The light comes in and saves the characters, and then they climb up and go towards their journey of transformation. And that's what it's all about. It's the journey of transformation. But the thing is that we have to walk through the darkness before we can reach the light and go towards transformation. Then the last section is the twins, Con and Fiacra. And I had a lot of thought over this, like, okay, I'll take the notion of twins, and what are the twins? And the mother died giving birth to the twins. What does all of that stand for? But anyway, the kind of conclusion I came up with is I took the notion of one person losing a part of themselves. So the twin journey is the separation of the twins, and then both of them try and find each other. And so it's all kind of it's very abstract poetry. This last section is very abstract. It follows the journey through the subconscious, trying to find who you are. And
how would the language compare, let's say, to the original? I mean, are you focusing in essence on the story and then putting your own words to it, or is there a reliance on maybe some of the old language of that tone kind of in this book?
Well, no, I have my own kind of unique prose poetry is what I kind of call it. It's a very broad term, I know, but so what I do is I take a few images from the story. I take a couple of facts, like say Lear lost his children, Aoife cursed the children. They're the facts I take. But then I question, what does that mean? And what does that stand for? And why? If Aoife's story is a metaphor, what does that mean? So it's kind of quite I suppose I approach it quite academically in terms of all the questions I ask. And then out of that, I developed my own story. So that's how it happened. I developed my own story out of all the answers to the questions I came up with. And the writing is very metaphorical, very symbolic. So, okay, I put my interpretation into the writing, but there's still room for other people to find their meaning within it. And that's what I really want, is this story becomes somebody else's story, that they can say, this is my story now, that they find a part of themselves and who they are within it. So there's room for that. I don't just say, this is what it means and that's it. No, I don't do that.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to focus on and to highlight before we end this is that the dramatic readings coming up in early October, you might highlight a little bit about that. Hopefully people can swing by.
Yes, absolutely. So, and just to say as well before that the book is available to buy in Easton's, in Nina, in Shillinagig in Cloughjordan, and online at childrenoflear.ie. And so the readings, they're taking place on the 6th of October to the 9th of October at 11 a.m. each morning in Nina Heritage Centre. And the reading is about an hour long, and it's a dramatic rendition of this story. So I kind of take inspiration from the old bardic ways of telling stories. No set, no props, just pure raw performance. And there are only 6 people allowed per show due to COVID and all that, and so booking is essential. You can go to my website, childrenoflear.ie, and there's my phone number, email address to book. It's all on the website there.
Very good. And you come from a very very talented family, I believe. Your brother Nicholas Ryan-Purcell, he's the documentary maker there up in the Nina area as well. So what is it about the household that seems to generate this sort of creativity?
Well, thank you very much for the compliment, first of all. And, well, I suppose a lot of it would come from my mother's side of the family, because my mum comes from lineage of artists and actors and painters and gardeners and all that. So there is a lot of creativity in the family. And I have my great granduncle has a painting of the National Gallery in Dublin, and my grandfather John Riggs Miller, who people around Nina would know, was unfortunately passed away about nearly 20 years ago now, but he was an actor, and he was one of the original members of the Nina Players, and he used to tour professionally for about 8 years around Ireland, England, but then he had to come home and take over the farm, times back then. And so I suppose it kind of trickled down, I suppose.
Absolutely. And look, I have to say
that, my mother, especially my father as well, they are extremely supportive, and we have my brother and I have a wonderful support network around us, and Nicholas and I are very grateful for that. A lot of people are very supportive and encouraging to us, and that means everything, really.
So just to recap, Children of Lear, The Journey Through the Curse, and that's available in Eason's Nina, Shillinagig bookshop in Cloughjordan, and also on childrenoflear.ie. Joanna, the very best of luck, and thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thanks
no problem at all. Joanna Ryan-Purcell there joining us this morning.